So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to economics lecture number 9 of this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay 2026. Through this lecture series, you will get to revise your entire syllabus for UPSC Prelims 2026 examination. The entire syllabus, both static syllabus as well as current affairs. Current affairs would also be covered through this lecture series. You don't have to refer to any monthly current affairs magazines or PT 365s or all these documents. Just follow this lecture series and everything would be revised. All important topics would be revised. Now, if you really want the help of this lecture series, the first condition is that you have to follow it till the end, from now till your prelims examination. And the good news is that you just have to spend 1 hour every day. That's it. 1 hour every day from now till your prelims examination and everything would be revised. But the second condition is that just watching this lecture would not do the service that you need from this lecture series. Okay, just watching this lecture would be job half done, because just after watching it, you need to revise it and memorize it from the notes. Then there will be some doubts. Ask those doubts because we will be enrolling you in WhatsApp groups. So ask your doubts properly. And then you will get access to complimentary test series through this lecture series. Okay, you will be giving regular tests. Tests will really help you out. So these are the 4 golden steps. Watch the lecture, revise and memorize it, then ask your doubts and be regular with the test. That is very important. Only if you'll follow these 4 steps diligently, then only this lecture series will be able to help you. But if you'll do, then there is a high chance that you will clear this exam. Okay, so make sure that you follow all these 4 golden steps. Now for lecture, that would be on YouTube. But all the other 3 things, notes, WhatsApp groups and the tests, for that you have to register on our app or on our website. The registration details are given in the comment section below. Okay, and in case there is any problem with registration, there is also a number given below. Just WhatsApp us on that number and we will guide you through the entire process. Okay, so do follow it till the end of your preparation, for prelims at least. Okay, all right then. Let's begin today's lecture, and our today's topic of discussion is logistics sector. Now, logistics sector is very important and Government of India is focusing heavily on this, because through logistics sector, our GDP is going to increase, our employment is going to increase, and our exports are going to increase. The reason why India lags behind from many other countries when it comes to exports, well, the reason is that we perform poorly as far as logistics sector is concerned. So the question that we are going to investigate in today's lecture is, well, what is logistics sector? How is it measured? How India's performance is measured in logistics sector? Then what are the challenges, benefits, and what government initiatives have been taken so far to improve logistics sector in India? Okay, so everything related to logistics sector would be covered. Today's lecture is very important because government's key focus area is logistics sector. So pay close attention and let's begin. Okay, so economics lecture number 9, logistics sector. Now the question is, what is logistics sector? You all know that different goods are produced. Now, these goods are produced and they are finally consumed by consumers. Okay. Now, the entire journey of a product from where it is produced till where it is consumed is known as logistics sector. Any factory that produces a particular good, it has to store it somewhere in a warehouse, package it, transport it. All these things have to be done, right? It passes through ports, roads, railways. Okay. All these processes, the entire journey of a product from where it is produced to where it is consumed, well, encompasses the entire logistics sector. And if this logistics sector is efficient, well, the movement of goods and services would be efficient. Okay, the cost of moving goods and services would be efficient. The final price of the product would be less, and customer satisfaction would be high. Okay, if your transportation is efficient, then your transportation cost would come down. And the final price of the product would also come down because transportation cost has come down. So your company, or well, any company would be able to sell these goods cheaper. That's very good for exports. Okay. Now let's dive into the definition and all the other things about logistics sector. Pay close attention. It's very important. Okay. So about logistics sector. So logistics sector refers to the process and management of the movement, storage, flow of goods, services and related information. Remember this line. From the point of origin, that is factories, to the point of consumption, your houses, right? wherever you buy your goods from. Okay, so from point of origin to point of consumption, that is what logistics sector is. Okay, it all services from point of origin to point of consumption, well, they are part of logistics sector. So logistics sector basically includes these 5 elements. Okay, it includes packaging, transportation, storage handling, inventory management, information, like tracking a particular consignment that it has left from Delhi, it is about to reach Mumbai. All of this comes under logistics sector. Okay. Now, logistics sector plays a crucial role in supply chain management. This is basically supply chain management only, from point of origin to point of consumption. This is the supply chain. Okay. By ensuring that products are efficiently and effectively transported and delivered to end consumers. It ensures the right products reach the right location. Logistics sector is very important. At the right time, in the right condition, and at the right cost. If your logistics sector is good, well, your economy is good. Because what is economy after all? Buying and selling of goods and services, that's what an economy is. But those goods and services should reach the end consumer properly. And that is ensured by logistics sector. Now, there are two parts to logistics sector. It includes both forward logistics, like moving goods from supplier to customers, and reverse logistics, like return of goods. Once you have consumed these goods, let's suppose you have bought a particular category of goods, you are not happy with it, you return it. Goods for reuse, recycling, disposal, waste disposal. All of this is logistics. Remember these two terms, by the way. What is forward logistics? Because they can ask a question, and don't get confused that we say we have studied logistics. What is forward logistics? What is reverse logistics? Forward logistics, which we have just talked about. Reverse, after the product has reached the customer, if he wants to return it, recycle it, this is reverse logistics. Okay, so we have taken a look at the key elements of logistics, right? Let's take a look at them again. So key elements of logistics. Number one, transportation management. And transportation management, the word management is very important. Whether you want to transport your goods from trucks, from rail, freight cars, from airports, from seaports, it has to be managed properly. Your product consignment should be managed properly. This is logistics. Then warehousing and storage. Okay. Then inventory management. You own a factory and there are a lot of goods available in your warehouse, in your inventory, which have left to what place, which goods have been left unsold, okay, which have been ordered. Someone has pre-ordered certain goods. All of this comes under inventory management. This is also logistics. Packaging and utilization, and information flow and control. Okay, you know about information. Okay, tracking a particular consignment from its point of origin to point of consumption, tracking, tracing everything. Information flow and control. So these are the elements. Now, many of you might think that, well, logistics sector is nothing. It's a basic thing. Okay, it is not that important. Yes, you need to have good normal logistics, but you don't need to overstress on logistics, right? Many of you might think that because many of you are not realizing. Some of you don't own a business, so you don't realize the importance of a logistics sector. So let me tell you, if India overall has a very good logistics sector like China or Europe, okay, if India has a very good logistics sector, well, it has various benefits. Now, what are those benefits for India? Not just an individual business, for the entire country. First of all, cost of product would come down because you know that the final cost of any product includes transportation cost. If this pen costs 10 rupees in a factory and it takes around 5 rupees to transport it from Delhi to Mumbai, then the final price would be 15 rupees. Of course, right? But if your transportation between Delhi and Mumbai is efficient, this transportation cost would come down. Now, it would be priced at 12 or 13 rupees. Now, if this pen costs 15 rupees, and then there is another pen which costs 12 rupees, which one will you buy? You will definitely buy a pen that is of same quality as 15 rupees but costs 12 rupees, right? So whenever the cost or final price of a good comes down, its demand increases. And when its demand increases, sales increase. When sales increase, everyone profits. You know, there is a reason why China is able to sell to the entire world because its logistics sector is so efficient that its logistics cost comes down. China is able to sell very cheap goods. There are various other reasons also for why China is able to sell cheap goods. But logistics sector is also one of those reasons. And because China is able to sell cheap goods, everyone buys from China. That is why China's exports increase. Yes, because China is able to outcompete every other company. So cost reduction, which will lead to export competitiveness. Our exports would increase, and that is good for India, right? Then economic growth, if exports would increase, more sales would be there, then economic growth would happen. Then your supply chain would become efficient. Then, because your logistics sector is efficient, you will definitely use more technology, more AI, other technologies to make it more efficient, right? So innovation and technology adoption happens. And nowadays, they are talking about green logistics. Okay, logistics sector that doesn't emit that much carbon. So sustainable logistics sector, disaster resilience, the entire infrastructure for logistics is adaptable to disasters, not harmed by natural disasters. This would happen. And yes, of course, customer satisfaction, which is prime for any business. Okay, so these are the benefits of a good logistics sector. All right, now, how does India perform when it comes to logistics sector? What is the situation of logistics sector in India? Is India doing good, or is India really bad at it? Okay, so let's talk about India's position when it comes to logistics sector. Okay, so here is a brief overview. So state of logistics in India. The Indian logistics sector is valued at around 338 to 349 billion dollars. 2023-25. Okay, so the value of our entire logistics sector, that includes storage, transportation, everything, is 338 to 350 billion dollars. Okay, and contributes approximately 7 to 18% to India's GDP. So it is significant, right? Now, logistics sector is also growing at around 8 to 9% every year. It is growing. India's logistics sector's growth is very fast. Now, what factors are driving this growth? Obviously, there is a huge demand. Demand in India, okay, driven by domestic demand. Then there is e-commerce also. Many people are using e-commerce for their goods and services. That also requires logistics. There is exports and a lot of goods are being manufactured. So we need logistics sector to deliver them. So these factors are driving demand. Okay. So all of this is good as far as India is concerned, but India also suffers from certain problems. What are those problems? The biggest problem is, despite growth, India's logistics costs remain high at 13 to 14% of GDP. 13 to 14% of our GDP is spent on logistics. Now, this is a very high cost of logistics because our logistics are not that efficient. That is why cost is very high. If you compare it with developed countries, it is 8 to 10%. And in Europe, it is around 6, 7, 8%. Okay, that is why, well, Indian goods are expensive abroad because our logistics cost, transportation cost is high. We need to bring it down to 8 to 10%, at least 8%. And that's what the government is trying to do. Okay. Now, this poor performance of logistics sector is due to fragmented infrastructure. Our infrastructure is fragmented, the state of our roads, bridges, though it's improving. That's problematic. Lack of multimodal transport integration. What do you mean by multimodal? Well, you must have studied in school modes of transport, right? Roads, rail, air, sea, different modes of transport are there, right? There is poor connectivity between each mode. So if, let's suppose, you want to send a consignment of this pen from Delhi to Mumbai, or you want to export it to New York. So first you will load these the batch of these pens in a truck. Then it will go to, well, Mumbai via a truck. Then it will be offloaded and loaded on a ship. Then it will be transported to New York. Then it will be offloaded over there in a truck, and then it will be supplied to shops, right? So you need good integration between road and seaports. Similarly, you need good integration between road and railways. You require multimodal integration, and this is very bad in India currently, but it is improving. High dependence on road transport. This is one problem, okay? You see, it is said that roads or use of trucks for transportation is good for local delivery, okay, within a city or a few kilometers outside the city. But for long range transport from Delhi to Mumbai, railways are better. But in India, well, freight rail is not in good condition. That is why many suppliers rely on road, and road is not that efficient. Plus, if you will send your consignment to long routes on rail, your cost will also come down. Okay, but we are heavily reliant on roads. This causes traffic congestion. Okay, these are the problems. And then regulatory bottlenecks. What do you mean by regulatory bottlenecks? Well, bureaucratic problems, rules and regulations problem, ease of doing business problem. Okay, so these are the problems. Now, if we take a look at challenges properly, so number one is high cost and poor quality of infrastructure. poor quality of rail, roads, ports, airports, right? So this is one problem. Then fragmented supply chain. There are small players in logistics sector. It is fragmented. Then regulatory challenges, bureaucratic challenges, then heavy dependence on road transport causing congestion on roads and delays. Then logistics sector requires skilled employees. That is one problem. Then nowadays, well, environmental concerns have also come out that your logistics sector, especially transportation sector, should be green. This is one problem. And Indian logistics sector is very late when it comes to technology adoption. Western countries adopt technology way more quickly than Indian companies. This makes them more efficient. So this is a challenge. Clear? Simple? Okay. Now, very important indices you need to know about. Okay. Two very important index which measure the performance of logistics sector. So one index is Logistics Performance Index. Okay. This is calculated by World Bank. And basically, World Bank assesses different countries based on their logistics performance and gives them a rank. It has also given India a rank. We'll talk about India's performance when it comes to Logistics Performance Index by World Bank. But first, let's talk about Logistics Performance Index. Okay, just remember that Logistics Performance Index is released by World Bank. It is released after every 2 years. But after 2018, it was stopped. Well, it was to come in 2020, but COVID struck. Then it was to come in 2022. COVID was still there. It finally came in 2023. So there was a 5-year gap. But generally, LPI is released by World Bank every 2 years. Remember this fact. Now, what is LPI? So about Logistics Performance Index, it is a World Bank tool that measures the efficiency of trade logistics in countries by assessing performance across 6 dimensions. So they measure the performance of different countries on these 6 parameters. What are these 6 parameters? Customs clearance. Okay, you know what about customs clearance? When you import or export a particular good, it has to go through customs department. Okay, they clear the consignment. So how efficient is that? Then infrastructure, ease of arranging shipments in order, then service quality, transportation service quality, storage service quality, then tracing and tracking. How efficient is your tracing and tracking of consignments, goods consignments? And then timeliness. Are you able to deliver your orders on time? These are the 6 parameters. LPI uses weighted average of country score across 6 key dimensions. So every country is given a score on all 6 parameters, and then you take a weighted average of these 6 scores, and then you give a final score to a country. Based on that score, you're given a rank. Simple. Now, where does this data come from? Okay, where do you calculate? Where do you get the data for customs performance, infrastructure performance? Okay, so World Bank gathers data from a global survey of logistics professionals. So there are different logistics companies. You survey them and you ask them which country is better, in which country customs is better, in which country service quality is better. Okay, so you first take data, or you take the opinion, survey based opinion of these operators. And you also gather data from countries, well, maritime shipping data, container tracking, air freight data from flights and all that. Okay. Now, Logistics Performance Index has certain limitations as well. Now, what are those limitations? Okay, this is very important. An MCQ can be asked. Many people say that you should rely on World Bank's LPI index. Okay, it is a very good index to measure whether a country's performance is well or not. But it also has certain limitations. Okay, it will not give you the exact picture. Why? First of all, the data, most of the data collected for LPI comes from opinions of logistics operators. Now, sometimes opinions are based on perceptions, their perceptions, which can be far divorced from reality. So this is one area of concern. Then the other area of concern is that there are certain landlocked countries. Okay, these landlocked countries rely on their neighboring countries which have a coastline. Okay, now most of these landlocked countries receive a very poor score because their customs, their efficiency is not that good. They receive a poor score. But sometimes they receive a poor score not because their logistics is bad, but because their neighboring countries' logistics is bad, which gives them access to a coastline. They are using their neighboring countries' logistics sector also to export. Sometimes that neighboring country's logistics is bad, because of which this landlocked country gets a bad name. So this is one area of concern. This is one problem. Okay. All right. Okay then. So yeah, So now let's talk about India's performance in LPI 2023. This is the latest report that has come out. Well, India ranked 38th out of 139 countries. It has improved its ranking because in 2018, its rank was 44th. So it has improved its ranking. Good India. Okay, good for India. Then, strong 22nd rank in international shipments category. So in international shipments, India's rank improved. Then, Indian ports have notably reduced their average turnaround time. Do you know what a turnaround time is? For seaports, okay, let's suppose a ship came, okay, it offloaded the goods, then basically offloaded the goods, went through custom clearance and then went back. Now in this entire process of coming to a port, offloading, going through customs clearance and then going back, this entire time is known as turnaround time. Ship comes and a ship goes after delivering. This is known as turnaround time. Now, if your ports, your customs are efficient, this would take less time. But if they are inefficient, if your ports are not that well managed, well, ships have to wait for so many days to get through the process. Okay. So if your turnaround time is less, well, that is good. Okay. So India reduced its turnaround time to 0.9 days, outperforming major economies like USA and Germany now also. So this is good. And in the infrastructure category, remember, one parameter of logistics was infrastructure, right? So in the infrastructure category, India's improved its rank from 52nd to 47th in the latest report. So, well, as far as World Bank's index is concerned, India is performing well. Okay. Now remember, for ranking countries, there is World Bank's LPI. But India also wants to rank its states and UTs. Okay. How individual states in India are performing. So for that, Niti Aayog launched its own index called the LEADS Index, Logistics Ease of Performance and Efficiency Index. You can check out the full form later, okay, in the notes only. But LEADS Index, okay. This index basically gives a score to states and UTs, okay, and then a ranking is released. Clear? Now let's gather some more information about LEADS Index. So it is released by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India through Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. So it is released by DPIIT, which is part of Ministry of Commerce. Now it assesses the performance of different states based on these three core pillars. Okay. So LPI had 6 dimensions. LEADS Index has 3 core pillars. Okay. Logistics infrastructure, how good infrastructure is there in a particular state. Logistics service quality, and operating and regulatory environment, basically rules and regulations and how well they are implemented in a particular state. Basically, an opinion on bureaucrats, how well they are performing in a particular state. Now, how do we gather the data? Well, like Logistics Performance Index of World Bank, we use perception-based data and also objective data. So it also has similar limitations. Okay, it also has similar limitations as LPI. Okay, one is perception versus reality. And well, it ranks, or there is a problem of ranking landlocked states lower. Okay, but they have found a way out to solve this limitation of landlocked. Okay, we'll talk about it. Another thing, well, different states are put into separate basically four categories, and then a ranking is released for each category. Okay, so coastal states have a separate ranking, landlocked states have a separate ranking, Northeast has a separate ranking, and UTs have a separate ranking. Okay, yeah, so 3 core pillars. LEADS 2025 report introduced corridor level performance assessments. This is the new criteria that was added in 2025 report of LEADS. Okay, now examples. Generally, states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu are always top rankers. Mostly these states, these big states, are top performance. And remember, you can also notice these 4 states are also coastal states. Historically, most of India's trade, sea trade, happens through these 4 states. So naturally, they have developed their logistics sector and they perform well. Clear? Yeah. So that would be all as far as logistics sector is concerned. But there is one important thing which is given in your notes. To improve logistics sector, well, Government of India launched National Logistics Policy 2022. Under National Logistics Policy, various initiatives were taken. Plus, there is another set of initiatives that the government has taken to improve logistics sector. All these government steps, including national logistics policy, is given in your notes. So please go through that, because they can definitely ask a question on national logistics policy, because government's key focus area is logistics sector. So do check that out. Do memorize it from the notes. It's very important. Okay? All right then. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure, dead sure, that this lecture series is adding value to your preparation, provided you are following these 4 golden steps: watch, revise and memorize, doubts, tests. Follow these 4 golden steps. It will just take 1 hour of your time from today till your prelims examination, and you will have a very strong chance of clearing this prelims exam. Okay? On that note, I'll be signing off, with the promise of seeing you again with another topic in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay 2026. Thank you, everyone.